Welcome to Breaking Vinyl. I'm your host, Dez, aka Johnny Fever. And as always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts. First up, the podcaster coming through in high fidelity, Evil Ed. What's up, Ed?
How you doing, Dez? How you doing, people? Hey, Dave.
And back again, the podcaster playing the deep cuts, B-side Dave. What's up, Dave? Great to have you back.
Good to be back. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Tonight, we will be discussing Hoobastank's self-titled album, Hoobastank, produced by Jim Wirt, released on November 20th, 2001 on Island Records. The album peaked at the number 25 spot on the Billboard 200. The band's lineup was as follows. Doug Robb on lead vocals, Dan Estrin on lead guitar. Can we say lead guitar? Let's call it rhythm guitar.
Right.
Marku Lapalian on bass. I know I butchered that. Sorry, Seamus. And Chris Hess on drums. Okay. Let's get into some band facts on this one. I'll start it off. And the name Hoobastank is a mispronunciation of a German street slang for someone who owns many sneakers. And fact number 2. Vocalist Doug Robb and guitarist Dan Estrin met each other at a high school Battle of the Bands competition. And that's where the two decided to join forces. And that's what I have. Ed, what do you got?
I got a couple facts here. They worked the ranks, up through the ranks with Incubus and Linkin Park, which I think, you can really kind of see and hear a little bit of Incubus in there,
Absolutely.
But this is kind of a deep one. On their third album, which I understand we're doing the first one, but I thought it to be interesting just for if I could only redo something.
Mm-hmm.
Their third album, Every Man for Himself, they're on Island, and obviously by then it was Island Def Jam.
Right.
They asked if they would include a new upcoming artist on a song, which is normal. Right. And the song was called Inside of You. And guess who the artist was?
Who?
It was Rihanna. Before Rihanna was Rihanna.
Wow.
Right. They of course said, yeah, sure, no problem, whatever. They had no idea who this person was. She was still an undiscovered talent. And when they rewrote the song to make it a duet, they just didn't vibe and didn't like how it sounded. So they decided not to move forward with it. Apparently they don't regret the decision, but imagine having the opportunity to do a duet with Rihanna and then Rihanna breaks. It would just be huge for you.
Right. But it sounds very similar to that other song, the one I'm thinking of, Wake Me Up Inside. I can't wake up. So it would have been very similar to that. I don't know which one would have come out first, but yeah. So Dave, what do you got on this one?
Album had 3 singles and went platinum in the US. That is over 1 million units sold. I also found that the band was pretty cagey on the origin of their name, stating in interviews different options from that it was the bass player's middle name to a German word for hopscotch.
Oh,
so I think they're just making shit up.
I think so too.
Yeah, I actually read something where they finally admitted, it's just some nonsense word.
Just sounded cool. All right, let's
one more thing, Dad.
Oh, go ahead.
And that's if you're done, Dave. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I'm a fan of this band. Obviously, it's why I picked the album. But as soon as I heard some of the later albums, I'm like, wait, what happened to the bass player? And then I started looking into it, and oh my God, they burned through bass players like it's just a book of matches.
I saw that.
Like, Jesus Christ, bass player. I'm like, Jesus. 5 bass players and 2 studio bass players.
Wow. Yeah. Well, this guy was definitely the best one that ever played in Hoobastank because he's fucking phenomenal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Guy's
great
really
bass lines on this album.
All right, so opening thoughts. I'll get started. I've never listened to this album all the way through, and I've only heard the first cut, I think. That's all I recalled ever hearing from this album. I definitely did hear the the super hit they had like on the
off
following
the second
album.
album. Yes,
Yeah.
reason.
So,
Yep.
of course. So first of all, Ed, with this album having 12 tracks and a runtime of 3 hours and 45 minutes, this counts as your next 2 picks. Okay? I'm joking. So yeah, like I said, I'd never heard this. And some albums are like a musical snapshot of what the trend and style of music at the time of its release was. And this album really embodies that
Oh,
to the extreme. I mean,
Yep.
you put this on and it's like I'm right back in like 1999, 2000. Like it just brings me there. And it's almost distracting at points because but I don't mean it in a like necessarily a negative way, but I mean it's not a timeless sounding album by any means. It's definitely pigeon-toed into that era. And
Sure.
And it's done specifically, it's because of the vocals, because the music on this, it's not like Linkin Park or The Offspring or Blink-182 where you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, I mean, this is fucking that time. No, the music on this album is very complex. It's very layered. It's very melodic. It's really good. But this singer, as good as he is, and he is very good, and he layers his voice very well, and he's got very strong harmonies, his inflection and his style is like just locked into this time.
It's time period. Yeah, it's very time period.
Yeah, so that's what I got. But there is a lot to like on this album. Dave, how about you? Had you ever heard this album track to track before doing the podcast?
I have never heard this album before. No memories of this. May have heard some of it on the radio, like you. But I generally avoid quote unquote modern rock like the plague.
Yes, college rock.
Yeah, not my cup of soup. But although now that I think about it, 2001 was over 20 years ago. So, we're talking about some classic rock here, I guess.
Yeah. Right? Oh, shit.
Oh, wow.
That's scary.
That's sad. We're old.
Shit. So, okay. Ed, I have got, this week we're going to do something a little differently. I'm going to be giving everybody one crack at each song in the same order this week because I keep fucking just losing track. I'm like, did you go?
No worries.
So we're going to do Ed, Des, Dave in this one for the whole show. So Ed, go ahead. I know you've heard this album before preparing for the podcast.
Yeah, I've definitely heard this album. When this album came out, it kind of was the right album at the right moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that kind of irked me, and honestly, it took me a couple listens before I realized it.
Yeah.
Is like all songs during this time period, there are no guitar solos.
None, not one.
Not a single solo.
Holy shit.
And there was and once I realized that, I started listening to other songs. I'm like, what is up with music these days? They eliminated the guitar solo, and that's what rock was back then. It was big choruses, big bridges, and stuff like that. But it was just the right album at the right time for me. And if you want a funny story about this song, this album, and actually the first song on it. So Crawling in the Dark came out, and I was just like, oh my God, this song fucking kicked my ass. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I was in a band called Blind Spot at the time. We were just a cover band. So we wound up getting this whole band together. Sorry for making this a longer story.
It's okay.
We get Kim Montero on vocals, and we threw together one set of music. We opened for a buddy of ours band at the Beachcomber in Quincy. At the end of the gig, the manager of the bar goes, "Can you guys just play by yourself next week?" Okay, so we had to learn like 30 songs in a week. Right as this song came out, we were starting to get at each other's throats. And myself, Darren, and Jeff, the guitar player, we were like, oh, we need to do some harder rock songs. And this song came out and we all loved it. So we're like, let's do this. And the other two guys were like, no, we don't want to do this. We don't want to do this. So the three of us decided to learn it and sing it on our own.
Oh, that always goes well in the
Oh
band.
yeah, well, because we were rehearsing it as the other two were walking down into the studio stairs, and they
Right.
just look at us, and then they walked away.
I love it. I
And
love
I'm
it.
like, oh boy, that's not going to go over well. So yeah, that was kind of the catalyst that ended that band.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, it's funny. I seem to remember this is a foggy memory, but I believe I played in a band with Darren Ring and Scott Troutman and a guy named Jeff Partridge.
All right,
Okay.
enough about us. Sorry.
Yeah, let's get into yeah, it's like everybody tunes in to hear about our shitty fucking garage bands.
I
Okay.
know.
Okay. Let's get into the album. The first cut is Crawling in the Dark. And Ed, take it away.
All right, I love this as an opening track. It's just, I think there's so much energy with that opening riff. I'm like, oh, it just, oh, it makes my blood boil. I want to run through brick walls. It's awesome.
It is.
And the song opens with that guitar riff. This is a really great, clean effect tone. Then it kicks into the chorus music, which really just punches you in the face. It's great. The verses are clean and haunting with the focus on the bass and the guitar riff, that work very well together. The chorus is just huge. I love the use of harmony and the melody through this. It works for me. And then when they go into the bridge, which is the replacement for the guitar solo on most of these.
Yeah.
I think it hits the accelerator for me. It's like such a great climax to then just come right down and then chorus out like with the drop. This song it changed music for me in 2001.
Yeah. Yeah. This opening track is a banger. I mean, I was very familiar with this song and it is a great opening track. This is how you want to open an album up. And unlike on the Velvet Revolver album, this is how you produce big guitars.
Yes.
Like this is a wall of guitars, but it's a clean, legible wall of guitars that lets everything else fucking breathe through it. It's masterfully done. This guitar player is a master of rhythm guitar. He knows how to come up with the sounds. He knows, I mean, the producer got it. They knew how to pan it. He was throwing on massive guitar tracks, like tons of guitar tracks. He was layering it, and there was this and there was that. And his bag of rhythm licks is very deep, and he goes to it and goes to it and goes to it. And I was very impressed by his guitar playing. But this album, like I'd said in the intro, it doesn't feel like musically, it doesn't have that feel of like a 99, 2000 band. It could have been like, there were times on this album where it was crying for a ripping guitar solo, crying for it. Like the buildup was there. It was teed up and then it just never happens. And he was clever enough to give us these like kind of exaggerated versions of like the rhythm riff where he would like change it just enough to where it would almost feel kind of like a solo, but it was done in a rhythm way, like very melodic, almost the way like Mick Mars would do things like later in his career when he was stopped trying to be a shredder. I know that that's going to be a fucking take no one's going to like because this guy is nothing like Mick Mars. Whatever. I went there. And yeah, the lack of rhythm, the lack of a lead on this is a glaring hole. The drum execution was great.
Yep.
I do wish they had ramped up to production on the drum kit just a little bit. And
I agree.
Just to keep up with these guitar sounds, because the guitar and the bass are so big.
Awesome.
And the drums, he's playing this nice loose drum track through the entire album. Like he really gets busy on the toms, on the snare. He's keeping things moving. He's rarely just playing like a straight beat. Kind of like on the Jane's Addiction album, where we're getting these really innovative drums that are moving things along and keeping things busy and interesting. But it's kind of getting lost in the mix because it's a very basic drum sound, specifically on the snare drum, which leads a lot of these songs and just sounds almost like the snare is not fully engaged. So that's what I had there. I thought the bass was great, and I thought the lyrics and the vocal performance were very solid on this opening track. Dave, what did you think of Crawling in the Dark? And had you heard it before?
This is probably the one I heard because it was, the big single.
Right.
or whatever. But yeah, here we go, some new metal for you. I
Yeah.
think it was a good opener. I like the chorus a lot. It reminds me of the Gin Blossoms a little bit for some
Oh,
reason, just like the melody. Um, but then you have your flange guitars in there. You know, this guy may have been a Guitar Center Employee of the Month.
Ah! I
oh
love
boy.
it. I love it.
It was great production. I thought it was maybe a little too polite. I like a little more dirt and slop, in there. And I agree with you could have brought up the drums and made those a little hotter. But
Dave,
everything sounded clean and nice.
Dave, I agree with that comment you just made about how the production was polite. For me, it was in a good way. I also like dirt and grime on my records, but not on this record. This record was almost like going back to Depeche Mode last week. It was
Yes.
meticulously produced, and it's very clean. It's a really well produced album. Let's just say, vocally as well, really
Wow,
good.
yeah, totally.
All right, so track 2 is called "Remember Me." Ed, remind us what you think of this song. Oh shit, I
Uh,
suck.
I enjoy the guitar and drum effects in the intro.
Yeah,
Then it kicks in with the bass and the kick drum that take you kind of for a ride with a subtle guitar in the background. And I kind of like how they kind of layered that and kind of went in almost swapped roles almost.
Mhm.
The pre-chorus kicks in with a big distortion on guitar. It's kind of formulaic for the time.
Yeah.
But the chorus takes it back a bit with multiple guitar tracks and great harmonies on the melody line.
Yeah.
The offbeat hi-hat
Yes.
in adding the snare to the second verse, I really think gives it just gives me a tingle, like in all the right places.
And me
Um,
too, but the problem with that snare in the second verse is that it's not a hook because
right.
it's not like they needed to bring that out. And I mean, on an
Yes.
album that is so meticulously produced, you have to understand that that snare is going to be a hook in the song if you just brighten it up and push it out a
Yes.
little bit.
Oh yeah. The snare is it is. It's almost like most of the snares are gone, and he's only got 2 or 3 strands left.
Yeah, or like
It's super
the little
thin.
lever is only like
Yeah,
engaged 3/4 of the
yeah,
way.
yeah. It's kind of weird, but true. They totally undersell the drums on this
Mhm.
throughout the whole album.
Mhm.
However, I think it's a very cool bridge with vocals and snare drum roll. Like that little build-up roll on the snare is a great thing. But again, it's for something that builds up. It didn't build up enough because there's not enough volume. I think the drums are too far back in the mix throughout the whole album.
Oh, so badly and shamelessly. But you know what's funny is at this time, this is like I would kind of consider this like college rock. I mean, you know what I
Yeah. Oh
mean?
yeah.
Sort
But
of.
that was what's popular then. Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the kind of the trend in college rock was to have those almost like those very organic sounding drums where they sound almost a little
Yes.
hollow, like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
almost sounds like a drum set up in a garage almost. And it was cool. I mean, I get it. It was for the time it was right and it sounded right at the time. But revisiting it like with the vocals, it starts to sound a little bit dated and it's a shame because it's a really good performance. Um so this is what this song made me think of, okay? Because a lot of these albums, will hit this banger fucking track and then it like falls off a ledge. And then we'll get another great track and it falls off a ledge. They knew how to stay in their lane. This band knew what they wanted on this record, and every song sounds like it belongs on the record. And even their filler songs are like they're solid tracks. I mean,
Yeah.
there's that any one could be a B-side to one of their hits, and any one, most of them could probably be a hit in 1999, 2001 if a radio station wanted to push it. I mean, they're all pretty good. Um, Again, the guitar riff is the cornerstone on this song, and the guitar player and his rhythm playing is the cornerstone of this album, honestly. The vocals are solid. I always enjoy a nice layering on a vocal. That's how I write and record my
Yeah.
music. With a tight harmony, and this guy really knew how to lock into his lead vocal with a nice background vocal, and it was produced perfectly. He delivers, he delivers a good vocal on this. I thought Doug Robb was, technically a very good singer.
Yeah.
And there was some nice layering with the synth on this. There's like these interesting little sounds that they're
Mhm.
putting on this record, kind of, hard right, hard left. There are these interesting synth sounds that people were experimenting with, like not your standard synths. Like I'm not talking about keyboards. I'm talking about like noises. You know what I mean? Like little
Yeah.
and I liked it. I thought it was fun. Dave, what'd you think of Remember Me?
That is, yes, started out pretty spooky.
Yeah.
Spooky sounds. I liked the chorus riff was good on the guitar. It was cool and interesting. Um, there's a great line of lyrics in the chorus, because the gone has come around.
Yeah.
Just something about that grabbed me, and I like that sort of turn of phrase.
Yeah. So cool. So track 3 is called Running Away. Ed?
Running Away. So if I remember correctly, this was the second single off this album.
Oh, was it? This was a single.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, wait. What is that noise?
I have no idea.
It sounds like there's somebody playing like finger fucking
yeah, the finger
cymbals.
Symbols.
Like
Like a chain.
Yeah.
Like is there's do we have an Indian dancer like doing belly dancing or what's going on?
No, the dog chain.
Okay. I thought it was it sounded like a cat playing with a toy or something. So whose dog is that?
She was shaking it out. It's Lisa's dog.
Okay, Lisa's dog. Since it's made quite a presence on the podcast, what is the dog's name?
The dog's name is Coda.
Okay, Coda. So here we go. Sorry, Ed. Go ahead.
Running Away. All right. The opening acoustic guitar and vocals that then blend into a bass and drums with electric guitar. I think again, it's just rock, I think. It works so well. I think the song's chorus is simple but powerful. The second verse is so many layers. Like there were 3 distinct guitar tracks that I couldn't unhear, and they were awesome.
Yeah.
Because you had it was like you this great acoustic layer in my right ear, in the background, and then you had the lead electric in both, and then on the left side you had the rhythm electric. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like, this is fantastic. You just things you don't notice when you hear it in a big stereo or in your car and you put headphones on, and you're just like, whoa. It really adds so much to it. But also the multiple vocal tracks on this, again, he nailed this entire album, I think, vocally, with how the use of harmony, the fact that it's not too big of a harmony anywhere, but it's the right harmony for the song.
Yeah.
Just for you to sit there and go, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
And the bridge is just super big with tons of layers. And
I agree.
Really
and
good.
it's similar to last week with Depeche Mode. This is an album you got to listen to with headphones on to really appreciate the production of it.
Honestly, yeah.
And also, again, like last week, this guy is very good at layering his vocals, and he's also very clever adding those like row your boat sections in verses and choruses where he's singing against himself with another part. And I love that. It was clever. It was really great. I do wish that, and I know it's hard because, obviously this guy's a very talented singer. Okay. He can sing, but he got caught up in trying to make the album sound like the flavor of the month. And it hurt him in the end because he could have made an album that would have sounded a lot more timeless. And instead, it starts to grind a little bit. And it doesn't grind a lot because he's pulling it off. Like, he's pulling it off. Great. But listening back, I would have to be in the mood to listen to songs from, this era to put this album on and listen to it all the way through. And it's the same with other albums that I love, like Blink-182. Who doesn't love that fucking album? It's great. But not when I'm in the mood to listen to just some rock. So,
yeah.
Yeah, so I really loved the dynamics on this song, opening up with that acoustic. Like that wasn't acoustic, yeah?
Yeah, I believe it
I think
was.
so.
Okay. Yeah. And again, Dan Estrin's guitars are popping on this track. The way he's feathering that acoustic in throughout the song, really nice, man. Really nice. The guy is just great rhythm guitar player, especially like as a studio musician. I don't know how this would play live because like you said, there's so many guitar tracks. What do you play? Which one are you going to play? What can you leave behind? Nothing.
Yeah,
It's not the same song. So I don't know live if they have another guy maybe that steps in or a guy sitting in the back playing the guitar, whatever.
right.
But I
Yeah,
would miss those guitars live. Again, the vocals are solid. I love the chorus. I love the layering. I love the harmonies. I love the layering in the verses. And you'll notice in the chorus, the music ascends. It it goes upwards, 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 upwards behind what he's singing. It just works. It's great. Yeah. Dave, what'd you think?
Yeah, yeah. The acoustic guitar comes in, and every bad boy has his soft side.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the music is good. I like that the layering. They're pretty good at the vocal and the guitar layering there. I thought the lyrics were a little just okay. A little boring there for me on the lyrics in this one.
Yeah. I agree. I think that the lyrics on the entire album are safe. That's how I would say. They're safe. I mean it
Yeah,
works.
it's a
Everything
good
works. He didn't
description.
take a
Yeah,
lot of yeah, he didn't take a lot of chances on it, but it was fine. Again, I there's really not a lot to shit on this album. I mean, like I said, they stayed in their lane and they were all very good at what they did and the producer was very good and it just made
producer's
a
amazing.
yeah, it just made for a fucking solid album. Uh, okay, fourth track. Man, we're quarter of the way through this fucking bad boy. This track is called Pieces. And Ed, what did you think of this one?
So this I remember first time hearing this record through, and I was like, okay, first three songs. Then it got to this, and I was like, well, this is definitely different. Um, and funny is the whole opening, the ba 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 ba, that last chord for
Yeah.
some reason just bothers me.
Oh shit.
I think it works great, but it for some reason just like it just but it's super aggressive. I love how it just comes out and hits you. Um, but it has a very, I guess, kind of Rage Against the Machine vibe
A
to
little
me.
bit. A little bit.
But a pop version of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the song has very distinct parts. With the open chorus to verse transition. Which is messy and kind of ugly, but works. And then the verse is very choppy and riffy.
Mhm.
And then the chorus rhythm becomes smooth and flowing. It's like three distinct sections that transition each other very well, I think. And then the bridge has the space and drum playing halftime, which I think brought a nice dynamic to everything.
Yeah, I'll tip my hat on this one. So when we get to the favorite song on the album, I have two that's an A and a B, and this is going to be the B. I love this song because Rob has given me a slightly different flavor on his vocals on this one. It doesn't sound like every other song on the record. And I liked it. I thought it was cool. And I love the layered vocal. And at 34-second mark on the track, it's in the first verse. He sings a line that says, I believe it says, the water is much deeper than I thought. And the melody and the harmony and the production of that line, it stands out and it made my ears pop up. And I love that on a fucking record, man. And for that reason, this was one of my favorite songs. Um, yeah, I mean, they were just getting it right on this one. It definitely was more aggressive. Um, we get that really aggressive guitar riff on this one.
Oh yeah.
But again, man, there's a moment in the song, it gets teed up, and I'm like, okay, this is it. He's
Yep.
gonna fucking do it. He's gonna do it. And and then he didn't, and then he didn't. So I picked up my guitar and I played a solo over it. It was pretty fucking good. It was pretty
Nice.
fucking good, guys. Yeah. Okay. Dave, what did you think of Pieces?
Oh, it's an angry song.
Oh yeah, it is.
The guitar stabs are cool in the beginning, But I noticed they did it and then they dropped it. Where they could have brought that back in at the end,
Yeah.
and they didn't. And I feel like they kind of missed an opportunity to sort of keep that hook going.
Yep. Agreed.
But he's playing a lot of hybrid chords. Seems to be like a signature of this guitar player. He's playing, like it's basically you're layering two chords together that wouldn't necessarily be, and it just gives it a different
Yes.
sound. And he seems to do that a lot in these songs. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Dave,
their thing, I guess.
Dave, I feel like you've hit the nail on the head there with this guy. So he's doing advanced things with his rhythm playing. He's doing unorthodox things with his rhythm playing. I feel like this guy's a really good guitar player, and I have no doubt in my mind that they tied his hands and said, "We don't want any ripping guitar solos because we're coming out of the 90s." And I felt like bands were trying to they wanted to do it like Nirvana. They wanted to do it like they didn't want to be 80s hair metal. Like that was
not
sacrilege. Yeah. So it was almost like they were like, yeah, we know you could rip on this, but you're not going to. Big mistake. Big mistake. Even Kurt Cobain played some fucking trashy guitar solos, I mean, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it was a problem. I actually liked a lot of Kurt Cobain's guitar solos, to be honest with you. I thought he was I thought he was reinventing the way you could do something like that. It was a lot of fun. Okay. So the next track on this album is called Let You Know. Ed, let us know what you thought of this. Oh God. I'm sorry, you're not getting a rebate for this show. With the bad band stories and my fucking shitty comedy. No rebate. No rebate. Take it or leave it.
Exactly, right?
Go ahead, Ed.
I like how the song flows. It opens with that clean guitar sound, then a super low end bass with big fat notes into a bass rhythm that's played over a weird drum sound that's almost like a drum click. Almost, it was like a click, 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 click. And the chorus kicks in with a big uber fat guitar tone, and the music in general just is what it's. Again, the production just, you can't sit there and go, well, I kind of felt wanting more in thickness other than the drums.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's what she said, right? But as a band, just, oh my God, it's just so fat, everything in this. And then add in the big vocal melody, it's great. And then when it drops right out back into the verse, it just has this big chorus and boom, right back into the verse. And then the bridge with the clean tones and the haunting huge layers of vocals and harmonies and different melody lines on top of each other. Oh, loved it.
Okay, so we're gonna part ways on this one. So this is not a great vocal performance. This is below Rob's ability. I don't even know how this song made it on the album. He gets so pitchy in the verse. He is bordering on going flat and sharp in this. Like he's almost falling out of tune in this. It's not good. It's really not good. If you go back and listen to the verses now that I've said that, you'll be like, ooh. But overall, I didn't love or hate this song. I appreciated this almost like experimental creative guitar that we got. Like it felt like he was experimenting with sounds. He was experimenting with riffs. It was fun. I was having fun trying to follow what this guy was doing on the record because he was just not going to settle on these rhythm guitars. He was like, well, I could just play it like this, but, I think I'm going to do it like this and then add this and maybe a little of this. And I was enjoying that. But overall, this vocal, it hurt this song and it shouldn't have been on the album. Not on a 12-song album. It was bloated. It just didn't need it. So, yeah, that was my thought on that. Dave?
Yeah, the electronic kick drum in the verse was a strange choice. They seemed to bring in some more electronic elements in the percussion. Wasn't crazy about this one. The guitar break was okay. I mean, this guy is keeping Line 6 guitar pedals in business.
Yes,
You
he
know,
is.
I imagine, he's just got every one of their pedals lined up on stage and the stack of Line 6 amps behind them, because that's just what this sounds like to me.
Dave, you got it, man. This guy has every fucking pedal ever created.
Oh yeah. But they could have definitely cut this song down. It went too long for
Yeah, they could have cut it down to 0.
me.
Made this album an 11-song album. It's way too long. All right, next song is called Better. Ed?
Well, it goes from Let You Know into Better, and again, just another fat punch in the face right out of the gate. I like the verse has guitar and bass riffs playing the double time of the drums, which I thought was interesting and cool. And then the bridge is a great bass riff that really adds change to the constant flow of the song.
Yeah.
Because it kind of has the same flow. And then the bass, I think, just has this little brief section that changes it up enough that I went, oh, okay. All right. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't blow me away, but it was just, it started to feel formulaic, I guess, at this point.
Right. Yeah. That's the problem with having a 12-song album. It's giving you too much to eat. It's like,
yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, you need, what's clever about it starts to feel like a slog when you've heard it 12 times in a row.
That's a great way to put it.
Tighten it up. But this song has really nice changes in it musically. And I really love the vocal melodies in this one, specifically in the chorus. It's a really nice melody that he's delivering. And and we always talk about how you listen to the music first, I listen to the vocals first. I mean, I just, I'm a singer, songwriter, so I really pay attention to lyrics, I pay attention to melodies, I pay attention to harmonies. And specifically, like in the last song, I want a guy that's going to sing in pitch. And, in this one, he's nailing it. I love it. I love the guitar production on this song. But again, we're going to get this exaggerated version of the rhythm riff as a guitar solo. I fucking hate it. I mean, he's doing it well. So I can't shit on what he's doing because he's doing it well. But I don't like the formula. Okay.
Yeah.
And then at this point on the album, I realized that I really hadn't made a ton of notes about the drums and the bass, which is strange because they're so fucking good. But I think it's because they never make a mistake. It's in the pocket. It's warm. It's inviting. It's busy, but
it's
without
full.
being distracting. It's full.
Yes. They're doing their job.
They're doing their job, man. And that's why I kind of just keep glossing over it. But I mean, right here, I have to stop and say, it's fucking great, man. This drummer.
Kudos.
Yeah, this drummer is playing busy, but still playing solid. The bass player is not following the rhythm guitar through the entire thing. He's kind of doing his own thing. And that's something that I always really look for on a record. Can the bass player create his own thing? Can he be doing something different than the rest of the song, but still making it fit? I love guys that get above the 12th fret. I love hearing some runs. I love hearing some parts of a song like in It's So Easy, where like, and we're getting some of that here, and I'm digging it. I mean, in a much more careful, safe, delicate way, but yes, I enjoyed it. Dave, what did you think of Better?
I noted I wanted to hear some more drums. The drums should have been, we talked about it before, but the drums should have been louder.
Yep.
The song was just okay for me. I thought it was sort of a generic, I used the term in my notes, butt rock.
Right.
But
well, no, yeah. I reserve that for fucking what's that stupid band called? And I know Ed's gonna love it. Your Girlfriend's a Dick Magnet. What's that stupid band?
Like the pop punk guys?
The guy, Nickelback. Fucking Nickelback.
Oh, Nickelback.
God. Oh, fuck that band. Fuck that band.
No way, dude. No way.
Dude. That's my pick for next week.
Dude, my girlfriend's a dick magnet. She loves cock, gotta have it or whatever.
Listen, I'm not saying it's not cheesy as shit. And the songs sound the same, but it's fun.
the lyrics this guy's writes is just fucking garbage. He's a great guitar player, though. Okay, sorry to get off on that. I don't even know who was talking about what now. Nickelback got me fucking like I just like C Mus _MOR. I just jerked the steering wheel into a telephone pole. Okay, somebody please tell me where we are. Are we ready to talk about Ready for You or
Dave is
okay.
Dave, did you finish your notes?
I did.
Okay. Sorry, Dave, I went nuts there. Okay. Track 7, Ready for You. Ed, what did you think?
Again, I'm a huge fan of this album. I think this song has kind of their version of a pop punk vibe, but with more depth. Again, huge sound for the music. I really like the backing vocals against the lead. They had a great dynamic, and I feel the bridge in this. It feels a bit mailed in compared to previous songs.
Yeah, I thought that Pieces was their pop punk track on this song. That was the one where they were going for a little punk sound. I didn't get a punk vibe off this. I thought this song was fine. You know, like every tune on the album, it feels like okay. So when I say filler, like this album is kind of a filler album with like this one great opening track. But the difference is these songs, they're like really great filler songs. So it's not like the song sucks. Like
Right.
The album is made up of just like all right. So the bass line of this album, like some albums have, you got your cellar, you got your attic, and then you've got songs in between, like, you know, highs and lows. This is a very right down the middle album. Nothing's amazing. Nothing sucks. It's just good. And this song is very good. It's a solid track. It probably could have been a summer hit if it was pushed by any radio station hard. And that shows the consistency of the writing of this album. From the guitar player point of view, it's a tale of two cities. Because again, we're going to get this amazing rhythm panned perfectly with perfect tone. But there's no guitar solo. And I know I keep beating that horse, but it's a fucking problem, Dave.
But that's the time period. That's what music was. You nailed it. It went from 80s big guitar to grunge to, okay, everyone's trying to find what the next thing is.
Yes.
You know, and all the bands that came out at this time period were super produced.
Yeah, but when you're going to put out a 12-song album, you better put one fucking guitar solo on there. Dave, what did you think of the tune?
I liked this one a little better. I noted it was almost pop punk.
Mm-hmm.
I got that vibe too.
Okay.
The lyrics and the melody lay out kind of squarely, which I like. It wasn't you know, strange off timing or anything like that. The guitar work is not my favorite personally, but it was interesting because he could have just sort of, you know, chugged his way through it like he was playing in the Ramones, and he didn't. He threw in some, you know, some extra spice there to, you know, jazz it up a little. So that was cool.
Yeah, this guy made soup with a lot of ingredients. So, you know what I mean? All right. So the next tune is Up and Gone. And again, I just can't stress how they just really put too many songs on this record and it hurt the album. But go ahead, Ed.
Yeah. So this song just, it sounds too different from everything else for me.
Interesting you said that. Yeah, go.
Honestly, when I first heard it, it sounds like a Steve Harris bass line is opening this song. Like I thought, hey, is this going to be a Maiden tune? Like it just, the way it flowed, not the tone, but the flow. It just sounds like, I don't know. I mean, I've seen Maiden a half dozen times over the last, 8 years maybe, and it's just reminded me of that when I heard it this time in taking notes, and I'm like, kind of just like that. But the song's a nice change of pace compared to everything else. But again, I just get a Rage Against the Machine feel from it.
It's so funny how everybody hears things so differently.
Yeah. I love the use of harmonies and the vocal layers that Doug Robb uses in this song, though. I think they're really well done.
Dude, I had the same reaction, but with different perspective. So the song starts up, it's got this really cool ride cymbal, right? And it's starting to sound like a Doors song. Like I'm like, holy shit, this sounds like fucking could be off a Doors album. Just the intro. And then of course they have to go into, college rock and fucking turn everything up. And it was a shame because I felt like this could have been a really nice, I don't know, just a change of pace on the album, but it wasn't. Um, I love that. Like I said, I love that ride cymbal. Um, the drummer is busy in that good way, which keeps this album and this song from feeling stiff at any point. We get that great bass line you were talking about, like really cool bass line, right?
Yeah.
Like it's standing on its own. They're building the song around it. It's just fun. I liked it a lot. The details in the guitar work on this song are like extremely intricate and deliberately perfect. Like he was going out of his way to really make this one intricate, and I felt it. He's a master of rock pop rhythm guitar playing. The guy has won me over by this point. I'm like, I'm really digging it. You know, multiple sounds, multiple pedals, deep bag of riffs. So yeah, I thought this song was fine. I thought this song was fine. Dave, what'd you think?
Yeah, starts off with the electronics and the bass, and I'm thinking to myself, the bassist definitely wrote this song.
Oh yeah.
And I went and checked, and sure enough, the bassist and the singer wrote this song.
You're kidding me, really?
No,
Oh,
exactly.
good
That's awesome.
observation. Good observation.
So I thought it was kind of a little jumbled. I thought it was a little bit of a mess to me. I got an STP vibe big time off of this. It sounded a lot like Stone Temple Pilots after it was, kind of kicked in and stuff.
Ooh, that
But,
gives me an idea. That gives me an idea for the end of the show. Okay.
well,
Next song is Too Little Too Late. And you know what? I think the title is perfect because the song is too little and it's too late on the album. And just fuck it. Go ahead, Ed.
Oh, Desi. That's awesome. Decent opening riff, flows into the verse, but sounds too similar to other songs, I think.
Fuck yeah.
The chorus is missing a hook. There's just nothing there. And it feels like this feels like the filler song of the album to me.
Yeah.
Like they just mailed it in and said, all right, let's come up with something quick. We need one more song for the album because 11 apparently wouldn't have been enough.
Shit. Oh, fuck.
get over 2.5 hours.
And I wrote, this one feels like another Hoobastank song. like, and then did it need to be on the album? No. This is a bloated album and this song didn't need to be there. The snare drum plays a big part of this song. It's like almost like being accented on this tune, and it's just not produced there. The for whatever reason, man, I don't know why they couldn't get the drums right on this album because the guy obviously knew his way around the soundboard. But yeah, it just not great. Not great. But I tell you what I did like, there were a couple spots vocally where they would rip all of the effect off the vocal during a musical stop. And it made the vocal pop. Like it would be like one word, I don't recall what the word was. But I remember being like, that's cool. They've gone totally dry. Like he's just in a sound booth talking and it worked. So yeah, kind of my thoughts on that. Dave, what'd you think?
All right, it's this point in the album. I'm kind of worn out at this
Me
point.
too. Me too.
Yep.
Should have cut the record by this time. I thought the song was way too wordy with his lyrics.
Yes.
He should have tightened that up a lot. This song is bouncy, and I would have liked to seen a little more straight ahead, rocking out instead of the, that kind of feel that they put on there.
Dave, I couldn't agree with you more on the lyrics. He was shoehorning like more words than fit into parts on this song.
Oh, yeah.
It just didn't work. It's like, dude, don't do that. Don't do that. Dude, by this time in the album, I'm looking, I'm going, there's still 3 songs to go. I couldn't believe it. My coffee had been gone for I'm like, I'll sit down, have a cup of coffee, it'll bang all this to the record. No, I was ready for lunch by the time I got to track 10. Okay. So, Let's go. The next tune is Hello Again. Ed, what do you think? Let me go to my video. Is Ed still with us? Ed, your mic is off.
Sorry,
That's
I was
okay.
coughing. I was
Okay.
coughing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, another song that's missing a hook, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
But I like this song. What I like about it is I like the way the music starts, and then I love that when it kicks in the verse, the bass is now all of a sudden playing in a higher register, and it's opposite of what he's been doing this entire album. And then drops down, when it kicks in the chorus and stuff. But I like what he's doing on the bass on this, where it's where you said earlier, you didn't really write up down many notes about the bass and drums because they're doing their job perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This was a great job by the bass player to stand out, but again, still stay with his job and go, I'm not going to step on anyone's toes, but I'm going to make sure I'm heard and look at me.
Yeah.
So kudos, man. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And, but other than that, it was, I enjoy acapella endings. So I was happy with that little acapella ending.
Yeah. It was okay.
Yeah.
This song has a banging bass line, really cool guitar sound, like you had said. And while the vocals are strong, the lyrics and the style, it's really just starting to get stale. It's like at this point, I'm just like, you shut the fuck up. I mean, you're good, but shut up. It's like it's hard because he's a great singer. So it's like it's hard to hate what he's doing, but after fucking by this track, I'm done, man. I'm tapping out. I am fucking tapping out. That's all I got. I mean, I think we said enough. Dave, what'd you think of Hello Again?
Yeah, the lead bass solo in the verses. Bass solo. The song I feel was a little generic. Could have been any band. And it was at this point in the album where I realized I have not heard one guitar solo the entire time. It took me until track 10 to realize, wait, this guy didn't play any guitar solos. What the fuck?
Because your mind was numbed by this point.
Yeah, I mean, he threw in some good fills and stuff like that, but yeah, it was just like guitar solo missing.
But he did a nice job of hiding it. I will give him that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It took me till track 10 to figure it out.
Yeah, right.
Took me a couple listens to the album.
Right. And you know what's funny? Kids that are like fucking probably 10 or 12 years younger than us are probably like, who the fuck wants a big stupid guitar solo? You guys are idiots.
Right, yeah.
So, all right. Fuck. So the next song, track 11, is called, I feel like we've been doing this. This is like a two banger. You guys are getting two shows in one here. To Be With You. Ed, talk about To Be With You.
I find the chord choices very interesting. In the song, I like the vocal melody over the music, though. I find the layering of the music chord choice to the melody note is hypnotic almost, and it really works at certain points in the song where kind of like you're like, and then all of a sudden like, money shot, and it just it's just so weird to me. I do really enjoy the piano in the background that I never noticed again until I put the headphones on. I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice there was a piano in here.
Right.
Again, Doug Rob's use of harmony, I think, really is the focus of this song and how they work it against the music. It's very different from the rest of the album, though. It's haunting and just, I don't know.
Dude, it definitely was. Everything you just said.
It's definitely old. You guys both nailed it with earlier with it's just should have been 8, 9 songs max. Leave us wanting more, and then on to album 2.
So this song, I have a couple of hot takes on this song. So it starts off with these drums, right? And the sound is horrific. It's like his snare drum is turned off. Like it's glaringly bad. But for some reason, it's almost like they caught it too late and were like, fuck it, just keep the track. And we'll fucking, like, he turned on the snare and like they moved the mics closer while he was recording the track, right? And it's strange because this bad sounding drum track evolves into this beautiful sounding drum track, like one of the best sounding tracks on the album. I thought the music track as a whole was very, very good. And for lack of better words, it sounded like mature, like different than any song on the album. It was layered with these amazing soft tones, like the cymbals were so soft and like just nice. This ultra cool guitar track, and the vocals fit what they were shooting for, but I didn't like it for this reason. I could hear this track sung by a guy like Eric Clapton. I could hear this song specifically sung by a guy like Sidney Barrett of Pink Floyd, right? And
Yeah.
it would have been a different song. And then of course you could put a lead guitar on it and fuck, it's a completely different song. So yeah, I thought the song had a shitload of potential, but the vocal he put over it just was more of the same. And I was just like, it sucks. Dave, what'd you think?
It was a sexy 007 spy vibe that I got off of this song. But unfortunately, the singer's lyrics just sort of creep me out and turn me off.
Yep, I'm with you.
The song went too long without them bringing in any new stuff into it. You know, if there was a solo or, you know, like a marimba solo or something, you know, just give me something weird. But it is basically they took a 2-minute song and they played it twice.
Oh, God, dude, everything you said is true. That's all I can say. Everything you said is true. It was starving for a Pink Floyd style solo, like something really good, and it just wasn't there. So finally, I was so excited. We were at track 12. I just wanted to end my time with this album. I wanted to end the podcast, so here we are. Give it back. Ed, what did you think of the song?
I think it's a good closer for them.
Agreed.
You know, because it brings back a lot of energy. It brings back what they're good at, in my opinion. Big opening, and then the bass and drums just it's got that, you know, like I want to pull up next to one of those cars that has those huge subwoofers and just hear that boom. So it vibrates into my car, but doesn't make me deaf.
Oh shit, we had a guy pass us on the highway like that the other day. I'm like, how is he alive in that car? Oh God, these damn kids today.
But then I love the halftime drums behind the guitar and bass riff that's twice as fast. I'm like, there you go. That's some nice contrast. The harmonized vocals during the verse is really cool, and it's more heavily in the verse than it is everywhere else, which I thought was a nice change from most of the other songs. But then they go into a bridge that, again, I get the Rage Against the Machine vibe. But I think it's a great closer for the album. And I actually enjoy this on albums when they end a side of an album or end an album with like a candid recording of like just them goofing around in the studio or something.
Yes.
You know, it's just, I think that's just a great way to close something.
I thought it was fun. Yeah. I echo everything you just said. It was a great way to end the album, and they saved the best sounding rhythm section for last. Yeah. This is like the best bass and drums we're going to get on the album as a pairing. It's produced properly. You know, the drums are pushed up a little bit. Yep. It's really good. And we get this very strong opening guitar riff, which this guy, it's his signature. It saved the album, honestly. You put a lesser rhythm guitar player on this album without his bag of pedals and his creative playing, and this album is, I literally couldn't have got through it. By this time, as good as Rob is as a singer, and he's very, very good, as I've said, I was so tired of these over stylized late 90s, early 2000 vocals. I couldn't take it anymore. These guys were trying to put out like a epic Kiss Alive 2, and it wasn't there. So the over bloated fucking song list was the downfall of this album. Dave, what did you think of this final track?
Yeah, woo, back to rockin'.
Yeah.
I did not like the lyrics. He's sort of really looking a little whippy here about how he's abused by his girlfriend and she runs around on him, and
Yeah, fuck
it's
her.
like grow a pair.
Yeah.
I felt like it was sort of just a mashup. I really did get that Rage Against the Machine vibe. You just mash up Rage and STP and Tool, and this is sort of what you get.
And water it down.
Yeah. And put a bow tie on it. And but yeah, I didn't really like the goofing around ending, but I see your guys' point as far as sort of making it like personable and sort of behind the scenes and like relatable or something like that. I didn't care for it, but
I've heard it like on Scotty's Gotta Know, that song. They do the same thing. Oh my god, that was awful. It was fun. It was something bands were doing at the time, so
Yeah.
fine with it. It didn't save the record for me. All right, so let's get to the song. And listen, I'm going to front load that by saying this wasn't a trash album, and I'm not going to trash it. So, what was your favorite track? I'll start off. Like I said earlier, I had an A B. It was 1A, 1B. It was Crawling in the Dark. Obviously, it's a fun dude. That song is a great song. It's well written,
unbelievable,
well performed. Like you said, just makes you want to fucking punch holes in walls. It's great. And I liked fucking Pieces because it was different. It wasn't like the other 10 songs after it. So yeah, it was fine. I would cut Let You Know. I just didn't like it. I thought he sang like shit on that song. It was the one song he didn't sing good on. Ed, what would you pick as your favorite song, and which one would you cut?
My favorite song is absolutely Crawling in the Dark.
Has to be.
It came out and just, I wanted to like go out and just run forever. I felt like Forrest Gump.
Okay.
The song I would cut, Up and Gone.
Up and Gone.
Yeah, okay. It just didn't fit, I think, the vibe of the album for me.
Okay. And Dave, favorite song and song you cut?
All right, I'm going to go unanimous on this one, Crawling in the Dark.
Yeah, has to be.
It's fine and sort of memorable, to me, unlike the rest. Really kind of starved for some hooks on this album.
Yes.
But the track I would cut would be Let You Know, Too Long and Too Weird, or To Be With You, kind of the same deal, a little gimmicky and creepy.
Right.
Yeah.
So we agreed on that one. All right. So here we get to the point of the show where we are going to cut a member and add a new one. So I got two. I would take Doug Robb out, obviously, and I would replace him. If you want the same album, but just a little like grittier, you could put in Chester Bennington of Linkin Park and it would work and almost be the same album. If you wanted to make it different, like really different and a better album, in my opinion, I would put in Gavin Rossdale from Bush. The guy can sing. He's great. Nice. Yeah, he would add a different dimension to this album that would take it to new heights, and it would sound like a timeless album, in my opinion. And then just for fun, what does Scott Weiland sound on this? I don't know. Ed, what would you do? What are your moves?
So first of all, great call on that. That's great choices.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, it was tough because I'm like, every time I wanted to remove a piece and change it, I thought it would change the dynamic too much.
Right.
And I'm a fan of this band and how they are. And since they burned through so many bass players, I decided let's change the bass player specifically because I'm like, you know what? I got a lot of Rage vibes, Rage Against the Machine vibes. So let's see what, Tim Comerford could do. I love the bass lines as they are, but I think Tim might add a different vibe to the whole groove and might hopefully steer some things a little differently.
It's an interesting take, but like last week where Delin was going to bring in fucking the bass player of Duran Duran onto an album with some of the best bass I've ever heard, I have to poo-poo the pick. I think this bass player was fine.
Oh, I agree. He was fine. This I don't. That's a problem. Is I liked
Yeah.
all of them as musicians, and it was one of those. Just since they burned through 7 bass players,
Mhm.
let's just go with it. Keep
Sure.
going. You know.
Yeah. The problem in this bowl of soup was the one spice they used too much of was the singer. That's why he had to go. Dave, what are you doing here? How are you rebuilding this boy band?
All right. Well, these guys look. I took a look at these guys. Their picture. They look like they work at Target or something like that.
Yes, they do.
You could trip over one of these guys in the street and have no idea who they are. They need some star power in this band.
Agreed.
I don't like the singer's whiny voice. So Doug
Agreed.
Robb is out, replaced by a different Rob. Rob Halford of Judas Priest.
Oh, God. Okay, so this pick is very similar to Stevie Wonder in Jane's Addiction. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. No,
You might like it.
I don't think so.
Oh my God, that's so good.
I only like Rob Halford in Judas Priest. Rob Halford is Judas Priest. Lemmy is fucking Motorhead. There's certain guys. Bruce Dickinson is Iron Maiden. There's certain guys you just don't pluck out of their fucking their little warm spot, and that's one of them. But that's why we do this. It's all fun. Okay, let's do some final thoughts and some Watt scores. And I'll tell you what, you guys talked my Watt score down. Sometimes we'll do an album and my Watt score changes, goes higher. Sometimes it goes down. Unfortunately, after slogging through 12 songs, I had to come down a little bit. Not a ton, but a little bit. So my final thoughts on Watt score. So while this album is undeniably good, and it is bloated at 12 tracks. Really bloated. Like a body in the Charles River. It also suffers from a vocal style, while very good, starts to feel very dated and a little stale by the end. The production is exceptional. The guitar playing is creative, but lacking any guitar solos, and that is a problem. The music overall is great, and there are no crappy tracks on this album. It is a solid body of work. It's good. I think my Watt score, Hoobastank is pushing. Oh God, I hate going first on this one because I just don't know what you guys are thinking. I had 71.8 watts, but I had to come off that. That was way too high for an album this bloated. I'm going to go 67.5, and a lot of that is on the production. 67.5. Hoobastank is pushing 67.5. I feel good about it. There it is. Ed, final thoughts on Watt score.
All right. Again, so weirdly, kind of like the Velvet Revolver album, the first time hearing that, loved it. And then listening to it again later, you were just like, the first time I heard this album, I think I destroyed the CD. I listened to it so much.
Oh God.
And then I didn't listen to it for a long time. And listening to it now, I don't love it as much as I did. And, like I said, right moment, right time. And like you said, it's bloated, too many tracks. If there were less songs, I think this album would have been significantly better.
Definitely.
So and normally when I kind of do my Watt score, I want to see how many hits and where it stands for my personal feelings of it and everything like that. But Crawling in the Dark, I think, is just such a great song, and the production on this is so good. I'm going with 78.54 watts.
That's way too high for this record. Wait, Ed, you know what?
Wait, should we discuss some of your ratings?
No, mine are all great. But you know what's funny? You know how we've been talking about arrangements of the songs on an album and how it would be better if it was arranged differently?
Yes.
There is no shuffle on this for me, and I'll tell you why. Because there's only one hit song, and it is the first one. That's a fucking problem.
Yeah.
It's got one hit on a 12-song album. It's got one hit.
But you also brought up the point, and it's a great point, that all the rest of the songs are great songs. They're just not standout songs.
They are. So it's a very
So you have a
consistent.
great album that's full of consistency that you
Yes.
enjoy,
Yes.
but it only had one hit.
That's a problem on a 12-song album.
It is, but it's also a good thing because you're not sitting there going, okay, there's 3 hits, but I hate the other 5 songs.
Absolutely. It did not have a stinker. So that's why it got the score it got for me. Okay, Dave, final thoughts. Watt score. Keep in mind that Ed just gave it a 78.1.
Oh, you are desperate to get Jane's Addiction off the bottom.
Listen, me and Seamus _MOR are fucking offended by your fucking scores on Nothing Shocking. Nothing Shocking, like I said, is probably it's in conversation. If I was going to go to a desert island and could bring one CD, it's in the conversation for me and Seamus.
God. Why? Because you want to rush yourself to suicide?
Because no. Oh God. Okay. Dave, go.
All right. I did not like this.
Okay.
I thought it was a generic mashup of all the other bands of the 90s and early 2000s. To me, I'm sure they're nice guys. They're excellent musicians, obviously. The guitar playing and the singing and the drumming and the bass. It's all very, very competent. The album is recorded well. Obviously, somebody likes this because they sold 1 million albums. I just thought, Any Band USA was sort of my take on that. What the hell do I know? But not a lot of hooks and no guitar solos. I got to give it 33.
Okay. Can I change my score? My score?
No, you
I
can't.
agree with everything he said. I was trying to be nice. Dude, that's the hatchet job that this album deserved.
Wow.
Dude, I couldn't.
Sorry,
all right.
No, that's fine. That's great.
All right. So the rule is there's no changing scores, but
Yep.
67. I think I came in a little high. Oh, I wish I could go back in time and butcher this with Dave.
You're fine, Des. You're fine, Des.
Okay. All right. So, Ed, will you please calculate the scores? I mean, can you put me in at a 52? No.
Don't worry about it, Des.
Okay. Calculate the scores.
All right. So calculating the scores, Desi's 67.5.
Ah, fuck.
My 78.54 and Dave's 33 watts. That averages out to a 59.68 watts for this album.
I feel like if I had come in a little lower, we could have got Jane's Addiction off the bottom of the floor. I fucked up. All right, Dave, where does that score put fucking Hoobastank on the Breaking Vinyl charts? Please.
All right. Well, it puts it at number 9, just under Velvet Revolver's Contraband, and unfortunately over Jane's Addiction. Nothing Shocking.
There is no fucking way this album is better than Nothing Shocking. No.
Oh my God, yes. I'll take this album any day of the week over that album.
Okay, so listeners, I would like you to write in just on this one fact. Is this album better than Nothing Shocking? No, it's not. Okay.
When I did my score, I had to consider the score I gave to Jane's Addiction, and that I liked this less than Jane's Addiction, so that's why I had to shoot so low.
Dave, can you answer me this? How much lower would I had to have been, and just in a ballpark, to get this under Jane's Addiction? Like if I come in at like a 52, would it have done the job?
Probably.
I think if you were like 3 points lower or something, it might have done it.
And I'm gonna expect a Christmas card from you. Okay. Okay, we'll get there.
All right.
Okay, Dave, as you have the next album pick, will you please tell us what? And please, I'm begging you, give me something good here. Maybe some solos, some hair. I don't know. Just go. What do you got?
All right. Well, in honor of the upcoming plug for the other podcast, are you still doing that movie that you mentioned in the script?
What, Top Gun?
Yes.
Yes, we are doing Top Gun this week.
Okay. Well, I'm spoiler alerting. In honor of our sister podcast's next show, I'm choosing Top Gun soundtrack 1986.
No, stop. I
Nice.
love it. Top
Danger
Gun
Zone.
soundtrack. So is this so this isn't a band, or is this Kenny Loggins or no? Oh no, this has Cheap
It's
Trick.
various artists.
Okay, Cheap. Oh, dude, I love it. This is very interesting. It's a little unorthodox. We never discussed the rules. Okay,
Yeah.
so I do want to just point out that I was going to mention this off the air, but since you've done this, I'm going to say it now. So and also listeners, write in and tell us if you like this idea. So there's 3 of us, and we each get to pick for an album each week, which leaves every month 1 blank week. So I was going to do something called the singles segment, where each one of us gets to pick 3 singles off 3 different albums, and we do the 9 songs, and then we don't maybe do a watch score and put it on the Breaking Vinyl chart,
Right.
because you can't really do that, but it might be fun. And you've kind of forced my hand into tipping my hat with this, because this is going to be basically a singles week.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea. I think that'll be a lot of
Sounds
fun.
confusing. I think I need a chart.
It sounds confusing. Okay, so I don't know how we're going to score this next week. Are we going to score it like a record, or?
I would score it like a record, the overall enjoyment of the record.
Sure.
I mean, it's kind of unfair. You're putting you got Cheap
Let's
Trick,
not forget
you got
Purple
Kenny-
Rain is a soundtrack.
but it's all
It's
performed
one
by
artist.
One band.
Yeah, one
Yes.
band.
What?
I mean-
it's a soundtrack.
I mean, is it fair to the other albums to be putting them up against Cheap Trick, Kenny Loggins? I mean, this is a pretty
Good
big
point.
soundtrack.
Good point.
All right,
Maybe we do a separate chart for soundtracks, because there are a lot of soundtracks we should do.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
could.
Or we just do a Kenny Loggins Best of 80s soundtrack, because he did every soundtrack.
100 watts. 100 watts. Tipping my hat. I love Kenny Loggins.
Yeah, you and me
Danger
both.
Zone comes on. I'm moving my fucking little Mini Cooper around like it's a MiG. Okay. All right. So we'll do it. You know what? Fuck it. We'll just score it like a regular album and put it on the chart, and it is what it is. And we'll do that with all soundtracks. Who gives a fuck, right?
Sure.
We'll just pretend it's a bunch of studio musicians. Okay. Okay. So I would like to thank the listeners. I would like to give a shout out to CMus_MOR. We did get your write in, and we all we laughed. We read it and we loved it. We thought it was great. You are correct. We are bozos. Yes, we are bozos. 100%.
Without a doubt.
And, yeah, Seamus, if you want to go over and listen to an episode of Hey, did you ever see that movie? I am notorious for butchering names, butchering actors, butchering everything. So yeah, I mean, I hope you like it. I hope it doesn't really bother you, but if it does, okay. Yeah, so my mission will be to get Nothing Shocking off the bottom. I've seen them numerous times too, throughout their entire span of existence. So yeah, whatever. Ed, will you please tell the listeners where they can find the podcast?
All right. The podcast is on your favorite streaming service, Apple, Spotify, all of those, and then some. You can check out our social media on Instagram at breaking_vinyl_podcast, on Twitter at bvinylpod, and on Facebook at Breaking Vinyl Podcast.
All right. Last week on our sister podcast, Hey, did you ever see that movie? We did Strange Days, and I talk about my virtual reality Oculus helmet and how I love the VR porn, and my wife loses her mind. So if you would like to listen to that, go ahead and tune in. And as Dave said, we will be recording Top Gun tonight, and that will drop later on. Oh no, actually we're doing it tomorrow, so that'll drop Sunday evening. So thanks for joining us. It was a long podcast. I hope you got through it. And until next time, take those records out of the sleeve and let the music breathe. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
All right.